The rain was coming down hard enough to blur the city lights into trembling streaks, the kind of rain that makes people run without looking back. If you've ever believed that one small choice can change an entire life, stay with me until the end of this story, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe, because stories like this remind us why kindness still matters in a world that often feels too cold. Ethan Cole had learned how to move quickly through storms, both the ones in the sky and the ones life threw at him. He was a single dad and a waiter at a small downtown diner that stayed open late for night shift workers and lonely souls who needed somewhere warm to sit. His daughter, Lily, was 7 years old, bright-eyed, curious, and far too perceptive for her age. Ever since her mother passed away 3 years earlier, Lily had become Ethan's reason to keep going, even on nights when exhaustion pressed so heavily on his chest that breathing felt like work. Every shift he worked, every double he picked up, every aching step home was for her. That night, the diner was quieter than usual. Rain hammered against the windows, and the neon sign outside flickered like it might give up at any moment. Ethan wiped down the counter, thinking about Lily waiting at home with his elderly neighbor, Mrs. Alvarez, who watched her when he worked late. He was counting tips in his head, hoping it would be enough to cover Lily's school trip fee due the next morning, when he noticed her through the glass. She stood across the street, drenched, trembling, her hair plastered to her face, one heel broken and dangling uselessly. She looked lost in that particular way people do when they're not just unsure where they are, but unsure of what comes next. Cars rushed past her, splashing water at her feet, no one slowing down. Ethan felt that familiar pull in his chest, the same instinct that had kicked in the day Lily was born, the need to protect. He stepped outside without even grabbing his jacket. The rain soaked through his shirt instantly. "Miss," he called gently, careful not to startle her. She turned, eyes wide with fear, then relief, then hesitation all in one breath. Up close, he could see she was young, maybe in her early 20s, makeup streaked from tears or rain, he couldn't tell which. "I'm sorry," she said quickly, voice shaking. "I don't need money. My phone died. I missed my bus. I don't know what to do." Ethan pointed back toward the diner. "You'll catch a cold standing out here. Come inside. Warm up. You can use the phone." He expected her to refuse. People were taught to be wary of kindness, especially from strangers. But after a long pause, she nodded, as if she didn't have the strength left to argue. Inside, Ethan handed her a towel and poured her a cup of hot tea on the house. He let her sit in a booth near the heater while he returned to work, giving her space but keeping an eye on her. After a few minutes, she approached the counter, calmer now, color returning to her face. "Thank you," she said quietly. "You didn't have to do this." Ethan smiled in that tired, honest way that comes from someone who expects nothing in return. "I've got a daughter," he said. "If she were ever alone in the rain, I'd hope someone would stop." Her eyes filled again, but this time the tears didn't fall. She borrowed the phone, made a call, and after hanging up, hesitated. "My ride won't be here for a while," she admitted. "If it's okay, I can wait." "Take your time," Ethan said. "You're safe here." They talked in small pieces while the rain continued to fall. Her name was Maya. She didn't say much about herself, but Ethan could tell she was carrying something heavy. When her ride finally arrived, she stood up, smoothing her damp coat, and reached into her purse. "I want to pay you back," she said. Ethan shook his head. "Just get home safe." She looked at him for a long moment, as if memorizing his face. "I won't forget this," she said softly, and then she was gone, swallowed by the rain. Days passed. Life returned to its familiar rhythm of school mornings, late shifts, and bedtime stories. Ethan forgot about the woman in the rain, filing the memory away as just another moment of doing what felt right. But Lily didn't forget. Lily rarely forgot anything. One evening, about a week later, Ethan and Lily sat on their small couch, sharing a bowl of popcorn while the TV played in the background. The news was on, something Ethan usually ignored, but Lily suddenly sat straight up, her eyes wide. "Daddy," she said, pointing at the screen. "That's her." Ethan looked up, confused. On the television was a young woman standing behind a podium, cameras flashing, reporters shouting questions. The headline at the bottom of the screen read, "Rising Star Announces Major Charity Initiative." "That's the Rain Lady," Lily insisted. "The one you helped." Ethan stared, heart pounding. It was her. Dry, confident, radiant in a way that felt almost unreal compared to the frightened girl he'd seen that night. The reporter explained that Maya Reynolds, a fast-rising actress and activist, had just announced a nationwide program to fund shelters, job training, and emergency resources for women in crisis. Maya stepped closer to the microphone. "I want to share why this matters to me," she said, her voice steady but emotional. "A week ago, I was having the worst night of my life. I was alone, scared, and soaked in the rain. A stranger helped me when he didn't have to. He didn't ask who I was or what I could give him. He just saw a person who needed help." Ethan felt his throat tighten. "I don't know his name," Maya continued, "but he reminded me that kindness doesn't have to be loud to be powerful. This initiative is my way of paying that forward." Lily turned to her father, eyes shining. "Daddy, you're on TV," she whispered, as if afraid to break the moment. Ethan laughed softly, wiping his eyes. "No, sweetheart," he said. "She is." The next morning, the diner was busier than usual. A few customers recognized Ethan from Maya's story, though she hadn't named him. One woman slipped an extra bill into the tip jar. Another simply squeezed his hand and said, "Thank you for being decent." Later that day, an envelope arrived with no return address. Inside was a handwritten note. "You told me you had a daughter. Please use this for her future. And for yours. Thank you for reminding me who I want to be." Along with the note was a check, more money than Ethan had ever held in his hands at once. Enough to ease his worries, to breathe again, to imagine a future that wasn't just about survival. But the greatest change wasn't financial. It was the way Lily looked at her father, with pride so big it seemed to fill the room. It was the way Ethan began to understand that the example he set every day mattered more than anything he could ever give her.